Hey folks, David Stewart here. Let's talk about something that I think is important for authors and programmers, data entryists. How do you avoid injury while using a keyboard? I have never had an injury, and I have a particular approach to ergonomics that's a little bit different from other people's approaches that I'd like to share with you today. Now, before I get into that, let me go ahead and plug some books because I am an author. First one is the Pulp Rock Anthology. This was put together by Alexander Helene, who edited it, and it has one of my books in it called Farewell to Once and Future Kings, which is about musicians who are spies in space. So please give that one a look, and if you read it and liked it, please do leave a review. I'd like to see more reviews on this fun little anthology project. There's not a whole lot of projects like that around. And of course, the other one is Shadow and Smoke, Moonsong Book 3. If you haven't read Moonsong Book 1, you should start there, City of Silver. But otherwise, this one's out, and I hope you will enjoy that one as well. Let's talk about keyboards. Okay. A lot of people start looking for ergonomic keyboards to solve the problem of my hands hurt when I type. And I actually think in a lot of cases, it's not that necessary. Now, there's some people who are extreme level of typists, like they're doing data entry 8 hours a day. They get like the dactyl manuform split keyboards, and they take it really to an extreme. But most people I notice who get it, they're not, they're just using a keyboard a lot, and their wrists start to hurt and things like that. And I don't have any of that because of my approach to ergonomics. So first of all, I use a regular keyboard. This one doesn't have a number pad. I actually got this for my PS5, and I use a mechanical keyboard with blue switches. None of that like prevents injury or anything like that. That's just the setup that I use, a standard setup. So I can go onto somebody else's computer. My muscle memory works because my muscle memory is attached to a regular keyboard. But I'm also a musician, and I have a lot of experience as a music instructor, and so I've been able to correct a lot of technique over the year that has caused stress to people, caused them pain, and I've been able to avoid it myself, both as a guitar player and a piano player. So my ergonomics tends to be more from the musician's perspective and musical instruments perspective. Lots of musicians end up with repetitive stress injuries in their hands. Flutists in particular, because the way you have to hold a flute causes a lot of stress on your wrists. Violinists, even pianists will get repetitive stress injuries as well. But there's some ways that you can minimize those that I've learned over the years. And the biggest one, and this is the stress that I see that causes most people to hurt when they're using a keyboard, is the wrist is like this. This is a supplination of the wrist. This is pronation, this is supplination. So if you supplinate your wrist, this causes a tremendous amount of stress on the tendons that are operating your fingers. The tendons that are causing your fingers to push down are on this side of your arm. And so when you supplinate it, those tendons are being pulled over your carpals and your metacarpals and all these bones, and can put some stress on them and your nerves as well in a big way. Whereas if you have the wrist straight, and the part of the wrist we want to be straight is not the bottom, but really the top. We want the top to be straight. We don't want a severe pronation. That causes a different kind of stress. I guess if you were choosing between the two, it'd probably be pronation slightly better. But yeah, you want it pretty much straight on top. And that way, those tendons can move freely. We can stretch all the way out. We can close all the way down. Complete freedom of movement in our fingers when we do that. I noticed this with guitar players, that they use the grabby thumb. They like reached around the neck. That you ended up with this supplinated wrist that, like, man, my wrist hurts. Like, you got to pull that thumb behind the neck, and you have a nice straight wrist, and you will never have any stress injuries. You can also spread your fingers out more and reach better when you have your thumb in a neutral position. So you want this wrist to be straight. Same thing on the right hand. You want the wrist to be straight. Some people use that Andres Segovia kind of approach where like the hand is very straight on the strings. This to me seems stressful. I use a little bit of an angled approach on the strings, and I've avoided injury from playing guitar. There were years where I played guitar 8 to 12 hours a day, and I never had any stress injuries. Now, I had broken nails from playing so much, but I didn't have any stress injuries on my hands from playing too much. So how did I change that to keyboard? Well, I used the same approach to keyboard as I would with a piano, which if you think about a piano keyboard, there's nowhere to really rest your wrist. Your hands have to hover over the piano keyboard, and that makes them go into this more natural shape. The most natural way that you can hold your hand, if you get your hand completely relaxed, is going to be a straight wrist with curved fingers. And you see how my fingers, the index fingers, they kind of go back in a line. I take that line and I put it on the keyboard, and that's what makes it a really relaxed position. So one of the things I do is I actually have my keyboard on the edge of my desk. So there's no wrist support here. I can't rest my wrists on the desk. It's out here near the edge, about there, and then my wrists have to hover over the keys, right? The other thing is you'll notice that my, let's see if I can get the camera angle just a bit higher here so you can see. I'll show you with one hand. My hands come in at an angle, and my fingers are very curved and line up on the home row like this, rather than doing this, where they're trying to come on straight. They come on at a very relaxed angle. It's just a relaxed hand that approaches the keyboard on both sides. So I don't need a split keyboard because my hands are approaching the straight keys in a really natural manner when I type. This is not the keyboard I usually type on, but white shows up really good on the camera, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Right, it's very natural for me. There's like virtually no stress for the way I do it. So I have it on the edge of the desk. The other thing is the desk, I don't have like a keyboard thing for the desk. The desk is not close to my thighs. There's like a good fist, at least between my thighs and this. The desk is very slightly above the height of my elbows, and sometimes I like it even a little bit lower so that my hands are kind of rising to the platform there, and then it could be even straighter as they hover over the keyboard. And then I have some, you know, my chair has some like little rests that I can rest my elbows on to give my shoulders a break. And that's how I approach the keyboard. So my wrists are hovering over the keyboard like this, no problems. And they're coming in at a straight angle, both not bent this way, not bent this way, straight. And my fingers curve to meet the keys in a relaxed fashion. And this ensures that my tendons are in as neutral a position as possible, so that there's no stresses on my hands when I'm typing. That's the approach that I use. It's kind of like a piano. So I don't use those keyboard, like some people had keyboard drawers, if you remember those, that like put the keyboard really low. I feel like people are always trying to put the keyboard in their lap. Like if you're putting it in your lap, that's where you start to get some different weird angles, for me at least. If I put this keyboard in my lap, like when I'm maybe playing a game on the PS5 and I'm like trying to type or something, and it's in my lap, I notice the stress immediately. If I'm in a weird place where I have to use my laptop in my lap rather than on a table, that's when I notice the stress happening, is that it's too low. So rather than using, trying to have your chair be really high and your desk be low, you probably want your desk high and your chair low so that your hands are coming up in a really neutral position to touch the keys, rather than being all supinated or like highly pronated or twisted to kind of get into a position. The other thing, if you go back and look here, I don't know if you can actually see it from here, but I'm fairly far away from the desk. Like I don't sit up really close on the desk. I sit fairly far away from the desk so that my arms are really straight when I type. And then I move my monitor closer to the edge of my desk. So something that I notice that people do is they put their monitors like really far away. They put their keyboard in the middle of the desk. They scoot up really close to their monitors, and then they're typing like little T-Rex arms. Like, man, my wrists hurt. I'm like, yeah, you're in a terrible ergonomic position. You want everything to be nice and straight. So when I have those nice straight arms, I have my monitors really close on my desk, and I can sit far enough away that my hands are hovering over the edge of the desk. They're not touching any wood, and my hands are approaching in a very relaxed and neutral position. And that allows me to type without having any kind of stress injury. I notice very much if it's not set up this way, boom, I will have stresses very quickly because I pay attention to that, being a musician, being a guitarist, playing piano and a bunch of other instruments as well. If you can keep your wrist straight, that's the big one. Top of the wrist. If that's straight, you're going to avoid a lot of stresses. Now, I am not a physical therapist or an occupational therapist or any of this kind of stuff. This is just my experience as a guy who types a lot and who has taught a lot of music for how you can avoid injury when you're typing. Other than that, there's not that much else. I guess you could change the angle of your keyboard. You can have it be high up or low up. This is a personal preference, in my opinion. I don't think that this matters that much. I kind of like the feet out. I kind of like it a little taller off the top of the desk. That just, it feels a little better for me. It's a little easier to reach up to the top rows, to like the F keys when I'm maybe playing a game. But your hands are going to be different from mine. So that's the last thing I'll say. Everybody's hands are different. Yeah, some people might really need that like dactyl manuform, crazy split ergonomic keyboard solution because their hands are a certain way. I have very long fingers. Maybe you have shorter fingers, and so a different keyboard feels better. Maybe different. You know, I use blue keys. I use blue switches, which are very clicky. Maybe you like red switches better, and that puts the stress. You know, everybody's hands are different, so you got to find the setup that's going to work for your hands. But I think if your wrists are straight and you're not turning them this way or that way, and you have a relaxed position with your putting those curved fingers on the home row, just like you're playing piano, curved fingers. Got to have curved fingers to play piano, curved fingers to play guitar. No straight fingers. Straight fingers are weak. Curved fingers are strong when you play guitar. So as long as you have those curved fingers and those straight wrists, I think you will avoid a lot of stress and have a more comfortable experience. But let me know what you do for your ergonomics, because like I said, everybody's hands are a little bit different, and it's hard to find the exact kind of setup for every person. But that's mine, and that works for me. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.